Here's 6 things to do to prep your home to get ready for the upcoming Texas winter. The joke in Texas is that our winters only really last a few days, maybe even a few weeks, where we have teens or 20s, maybe even single digits for the cold. And we usually don't have our homes prepped for the winter quite like maybe our northern counterparts. So what do we need to do when our homes are getting ready to be exposed to really extreme temperatures? Well, here's a couple things. First, and it goes without saying, make sure the heat's on in your house. Sometimes you're comfortable without the heat on, but that doesn't mean that every single crevice that is served by the heater is going to stay above freezing. That means make sure your heat is on and make sure it's on before you get too cold. I recommend having it around 70, and we know that sometimes that means your house may not get above 50 or 60, especially with those extreme temperatures weighing down on that thermal envelope of the house. But make sure your heat is on because it's going into those other smaller crevices, or it's heating the foundation and the attic and the roof and other places where there might be water sources that need to make sure they're protected. One of the other things that you want to make sure you do is cover exposed plumbing, whether it's exposed to the elements or on the outside. So hose bibs, cover them with the hose bib covers or wrap them with a towel. You can also make sure to drip faucets on the inside so that water keeps moving. That moves warmer water into places where maybe it's colder. And so if the cold water sits too long and continues to be exposed to below freezing temperatures, it can freeze and bust a pipe. So dripping faucets is a great way to also make sure that they don't freeze. In addition to that, to dripping faucets, you can open up the cabinets underneath your sink, and that will expose it to more air from the heater that's moving throughout the house. That way, the plumbing underneath your sink doesn't get potentially frozen as well. So those are 2 things you can do. The next thing you might consider is in the outside of your home where there might be exposure, where the thermal envelope, the protection of your home's heat seal is exposed through gaps or cracks or ways where cold air can get in. You can seal it up, get some gap sealer, get some air sealer, caulk the outside, find ways to create a more secure exterior envelope for that heat to stay inside. The 4th thing that I'm going to recommend is that you know where your water meter is, because if something does freeze or if you do have a busted pipe, you may not know about it until things start to thaw, but when they do, or when you recognize that there's the potential for frozen pipes, you want to go and turn off the water either at a shutoff or at the water meter. Know where your water meter is and understand how it operates. Generally, there's a little bit of a thick piece on the pipe that turns 90 degrees. And so it's either open or closed. You're going to need a wrench that's the right size for that. And you might even practice turning your water on and off at the meter. Make sure you know your wrenches as well so that you're ready for that. The next thing that I want to make sure that you think about is moving in plants and covering or covering plants that you want to make sure don't freeze. So for example, I like to move my potted plants into my garage, and I even will dig up some plants in my yard that I don't want to die and put them in a pot. You can also put frost blanket on top of plants, and that may be enough to protect them. Many native Texas species can get down into 10 degrees for a day or two and be okay, but if they're not woody or if they're annual plants, they're for sure going to die as soon as we get below about 28 degrees. Thank you for watching my video on how to prepare for Texas winter. I hope you'll go get your house ready and stay warm now.